Gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to MGTOW Money. And of course, good day to all the new subscribers. Thanks for joining, guys. Today's topic is going to be an asset you should own but probably don't. Or maybe let's just call it an asset class that I think most of you probably don't own, but at the very least you need to become familiar with. Before we get to today's topic, I need to set the table. This, of course, is MGTOW 2.0. This is the second wave of MGTOW. This is all about actionable, practical ideas you can use for financial freedom, for financial independence. I won't be discussing politics. I've got no news articles to discuss regarding the latest episode from an SJW. I've got no emails from you regarding your former girlfriend and how you can't get over her and how she's broken your heart. Sorry, guys. Plenty of other videos, plenty of other channels for that type of information. This is all about taking the next step from MGTOW. Excellent. You're a MGTOW, but I presume you don't want to be working to your 70 and being a broke MGTOW, correct? This is about financial freedom and how you can achieve it in your lifetime, how you can retire early. So let's move on to today's topic, an asset you probably don't own. You may know very little about it, but you need to know about it, and more importantly, you probably should own it. Specifically, I'm talking about, in terms of an asset class, cryptocurrencies, cryptography currencies, cryptographic currencies. And by the way, I'm going to include in the show notes a link to a free ebook, as well as got a course and that type of thing. It was done by a New Zealander that I'm aware of. It's a nice little introduction, at least to give you some very, very basic information. It also includes a course on how you can make money with cryptocurrencies, as well as the various types, because actually there are hundreds of them. But before we get to that, let me though define a little bit about when I talk about money and currencies, and I'm going to give a very, very basic overview of this, because this is a very in-depth, complicated subject. In its most basic sense, money, currency, is an instrument that's manufactured and typically backed by a government, by some sort of government, maybe even a union of governments, a la the European Union, and is traded on confidence among the people in terms of the value of that currency is simply traded on the confidence among people exchanging it for goods and services, of course. It is a fiat currency, F-I-A-T currency. Typically, at least in today's world, there is no currency that I'm aware of, at least as it exists today. I think the Swiss were probably the last ones, where the currencies have no backing. For thousands of years, of course, gold and silver were used as currencies, and then there became paper currencies. However, even the paper currencies had backing from gold and silver. For example, in the United States up until 1971, the US dollar was backed by gold. Furthermore, the coins, many times the coins that you would look at prior to 1965 actually had silver in them. If you'll actually look at the side, for example, let's just take a 1960 quarter. From the year 1960, you'll see that it was all silver. That's what it was minted out of. So, needless to say, we are now in a world of pure fiat currency. And I won't get into the issues of how that can destroy a country and, frankly, destroy an entire society. But I would only point out the most recent example of, look at what's happening in Venezuela today, as their currency, the bolivar, is effectively valueless. It has no value. It's effectively worthless. Now, let's continue on when we talk about cryptocurrencies and some reasons why, at the very least, you need to understand them. However, I would encourage you to seriously consider, presuming that you've paid off all your debts, that you have a little investable money, and I emphasize investable speculative money, money that you can gamble with, that you might want to take a small position in some type of cryptocurrency. One of the most common, of course, is Bitcoin. There are three reasons why I think you might want to consider Bitcoin. There's a lot of competitor currencies, of course, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, etc. One that I have some familiarity with, of course, is Bitcoin, only because that's the most common, or at least most well-known. But let's talk about some in general. In general, Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies, they're not a fad. They're not a scam. The future, frankly, is, gentlemen, electronic money. There is a death of paper money. Like it or not, I'm not in favor of this. I'm not advocating this. I'm just discussing of what I think is going to be happening in the future. As I put on my Nostradamus hat here, I believe that we're going to eventually see the elimination of paper money, and that everything eventually is going to end up being exchanged through electronic means. I don't know if this is going to happen in my lifetime. I don't know if it's going to happen in your lifetime, but clearly that is the trend. In Sweden, for example, they have effectively, and they're almost effectively, completely eliminating all paper currency. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the canary in the coal mine, indicating what's going to be for the rest of Europe and then transmitting to the rest of the world. So, again, it's not a fad. It's not a scam. Cryptocurrencies are here to stay. And I believe that Bitcoin in particular, as well as probably Ethereum and some of these others, are also going to be around for many, many years in the future. That, again, is my guess. That is a speculation. Let's continue to another reason of why I think you, if nothing else, you need to be aware of these things. You need to educate yourself about these cryptocurrencies. One of the tremendous benefits that I see in them, that I personally have used and been affected by, that I benefited from, is how easily you can quickly and simply transfer money to anyone in the world. It is tremendous, tremendous benefit to whether you're just a friend to a friend, or you've got a multinational business that needs to send money back and forth. And again, this is done completely private, completely outside the banking system. Tremendous, tremendous benefit. It cannot be overstated how important this can be. You want to make a purchase from someone, you don't need to use the banking system. You instead can do this person-to-person transaction purely electronically, no paper involved. Number three, a third reason why that I feel like that this has a tremendous future, that cryptocurrencies in general are going to be around for a long time. And this is probably the most important. They provide a long-term store of value, albeit a very volatile one. I fully accept that. But very similar to what gold and silver do, these are a non-correlated asset class. In other words, if the stock market collapses tomorrow, I highly doubt that the cryptocurrency entire asset class will collapse tomorrow. I highly doubt that if real estate collapses tomorrow, that the entire cryptocurrency asset class is going to collapse tomorrow. As a matter of fact, in those two examples, it would probably benefit. My point being, as a long-term, I emphasize, a long-term store of value, I think that some cryptocurrencies can be a tremendous hedge, whether it be against global disorder, whether it be that against inflation, etc. I would encourage you, before you do anything, before you invest in anything, do your own research. There is plenty of material on this, some outstanding, tremendous YouTube videos, the course that I mentioned, giving you some great information about why you might want to consider speculating, not necessarily investing, but speculating in these cryptocurrencies. I should mention one last thing. You don't need tens of thousands of dollars to speculate in this. We're talking about $10, $20, even $50, $100. Most of you presumably can afford that. I would encourage you at the very least, just do some research on it. Let me finish up and sum up this topic by saying the following. I was speaking to a reasonably well-off friend of mine. He's from the UK. He had been a high-level professional in London. And when I started talking about cryptocurrencies and speculating in them and that type of thing, and by the way, this is a person who's been involved with speculating with millions of dollars. His reply to me was, "What? What are you talking about?" As if I had three heads, as if this was something just completely out of the realm of possibility. How absolutely, not necessarily ridiculous, but it completely did not enter his realm of reality. It reminded me of something that also happened many, many years ago. This is back in 1995 when I first began involved with the internet and specifically marketing the internet and helping businesses with the internet and discussing it, etc. When I went into so many businesses, when I went into 99 businesses in 100, you know what their answer was about the internet? What's the internet? Who needs it? What am I going to do with it? And it wasn't just typical businesses that you see on the street. I'm talking about businesses that did computer networks at that time, that were involved with building computers, that were involved with automation and that type of thing. My point being is that just because that it seems unusual or strange today does not mean that in 10 or 20 years it won't be commonly accepted and it won't be like, well, of course, everyone knows that. I don't know if that's going to be the case with any cryptocurrency. As a matter of fact, all of them, including Bitcoin, may actually go to their intrinsic value, which presumably is zero. So just be aware of that. However, I do encourage you in the strongest terms possible, at the very least, become aware of this, educate yourself, and more importantly, seriously consider putting a few dollars into it. Gentlemen, I just want to finish by saying thank you for everyone who subscribed, and I do want to say I really do appreciate all the nice comments. It makes me feel good. What else can I say? I've got an ego. We, of course, are building a MGTOW army of financially independent men, of men that are moving forward with their lives. They're moving beyond just being a MGTOW. They're now rich MGTOW. They're leading wealthy lives in MGTOW. And because we're going to move this forward, I need your help. I need you to share this video with your friends. I need you to post it in forums. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button now and the like button if you found this useful. As always, John Galt out.